Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome back. It's episode 133 here, Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, and I'm joined by Matthew Betz and Jason Moore.
133 episodes, Kyle. Did you plan anything special for us today, or what?
For the very famous number of 133.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to be like, whoa, this is their special 133?
Yeah, it just kind of it jumped out to me. I was like, wow, we've done this show for a couple years now. It went from an idea to we actually stayed with it, and a lot of podcasts don't do that. Like we're not dead yet. That's what the people are saying.
Not dead yet, not dying, growing still.
My whip score is looking great right now. My pulse is fine.
Dude, you two suck. I hate being in a Whoop group with you guys. You young, athletic, active
Our
men.
kids keep us stressed, though.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I don't even understand. You've got multiple young boys, and you get like 12 hours of sleep a night, and I don't like that. I get 6. It's ridiculous.
Dude, Kyle naps like 5 days a week. I don't understand how this lifestyle works, Kyle. Please teach us.
And your resting heart rate is like 20. I mean, I don't understand how we're both the same species when I look at our metrics next to each other.
I've hired a proxy. If you don't realize, guys, that it's not really me working. I'm not doing anything.
That's a great idea. Oh, I will go find some super athlete to wear my Whoop for a month.
Oh, no. I'm doing the stuff. I'm saying people are doing my job here for the footballers. There's another guy.
Well, that also makes sense because the work's been pretty good lately.
Okay,
got him.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing this part of my life with you guys, even though we're at different parts of the country. But yeah, every day I get to wake up and just see, okay, what did Betz do today? What type of weightlifting? Or sometimes I'll see with Mike. It's like I think Mike had a pretty chill day. His score's pretty low today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, get to your 40s. Till then, shut up.
On this episode, we are going to rewind the film, look at a couple of young, exciting players. Like I'm excited to talk about some of these guys on film, and then do a little trending or ending. There are some wide receivers. I don't know if you've heard this, but they started off slow. And I was told that in Dynasty, I was supposed to have a ton of wide receivers. I have a team where I have about 4 studs. I was going into the season thinking, man, I'm just going to crush. They've all started very slow.
You got Brian Thomas Jr. on that squad?
I have Thomas Jr.
You got Drake London on that squad?
I do.
AJ Brown?
No, but I also have Ladd.
That's not a young stud.
Lad.
It's just,
it does look
like
good on paper.
Oh, man. And in Dynasty, when you have 3 or 4 young wide receivers, you're like, this is going to last forever. I'm only going to be incredible in this league. And then I'm just staring flat at them. So we'll talk about some of those. We'll talk about some running backs, some rookie running backs, and what do you do with them in Dynasty. We'll go through all of those. I did want to just remind people that the Ultimate Dashboard, if you're trying to get a leg up on your league, like I'm in a couple of Dynasty leagues with these gentlemen, and the hardest thing for me is I have some flex options that every single week I am stressed out. I'm stressed out because I don't know between running backs and wide receivers who to start. The Ultimate Dashboard and our lineup optimizer gets to show you some weak points in your stuff. So one of the worst things too is if you're in 6, 7, 8, 9, I see people in like 30 leagues. No, Jason,
Sickos.
I wasn't going for that. Our kids,
you said it. You
did say
our
it.
kids aren't at that age though.
Well, my kids are, so 6, 7.
Do they ever pass up an opportunity for it?
When they're around me because they think I don't know.
Oh, but you got a pulse on the kid, what the kids are saying.
Oh yeah, baby.
Dude, Jason knows exactly what the youths are doing these days.
I am one. Yeah. Anyways, what were you saying, Kyle? Other than
I was just
6,
saying,
7.
when you're in so many different leagues, I honestly forget to set certain lineups, and so I will usually go through the task of Sunday morning, going through and go like, oh, I forgot to even look at this league. And we have a new feature now where it just totally syncs across the board. We've done some major updates with our dev team. So any shout out, Jason, you want to give to our dev team who have put in the work?
Oh, our dev team is awesome. But, really for Dynasty specifically, it's very helpful because there's much larger rosters. And instead of, if you're in a handful of Dynasty leagues, instead of looking down and trying to remember, okay, this league has, I forgot this dude's on the bench. You know what I mean? Like, it's really helpful to just go click a league, click optimize, and be like, okay, this is, it's between these guys. Now, it just makes everything clear. You got the two screens pulled up. I use it, like you said, I'm usually Saturday night and then, maybe a Sunday morning. But, you just pull them up. Go through your leagues, have it be easy. And already this year, we're 3 weeks in, I have multiple leagues where I got a victory specifically because of it. Week 1, it told me to put in Travis Etienne over Adam Thielen in a certain league. And obviously right now that sounds like, well, duh. But at the beginning of the year, that wasn't the presumption. So, and then I got a win because of that.
Yeah, I did the same thing with J.K. Dobbins, where he was sitting on my bench. I wasn't really thinking about him, and I was able to start him in a flex spot and win a matchup because of it. So yeah, make sure
FootClan.com.
FootClan.com to be a part of that. Moving on.
Weekly Rewind.
Every week, we go back and rewatch a few games, give you some film takes on some players, and these are some young players we're going to talk about this week. I will let Betz start talking about a man who is, slightly confused in what sort of, vibe he's going for in his outfits.
Well, Kyle, you're a bit washed. You're not sure what the kids are up to these days as far as their fashion sense. But historically, you've been the guy that we go to for the NFL fashion takes, specifically with Joe Burrow. You've been on that. I don't know what the fashion takes are. The bottom half in his post-game presser looked like he was maybe going out to the skate park. The top half, he's wearing the glasses, looks very smart, maybe a scholar.
Who is this player?
That's a good point. We should talk about that. Ricky Pearsall, who, we could debate the outfit choice later on. But I wanted to talk about him in the context of the Niners offense, because obviously right now, Juwan Jennings missed this past week's game. Kittle's on IR with the hamstring injury. Of course, Ayuk's still coming back from the ACL. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts as the year goes on as far as what the depth chart looks like and the usage. But when he got an opportunity this past weekend to be the guy, he looked awesome. A career high 11 targets, 8 catches, 117 yards. And going back and kind of looking at how they used him, like in the Shanahan offense, how there's always been kind of like one possession guy that kind of runs like the high percentage crossers, the zone beaters, stuff like that. And then there's historically the last couple of years, been the Ayuk role of the downfield, really high yards per route run, efficiency type guy. In this game, he was used in both of those roles in different snaps and different formations. So it's really good to see him being able to use either of those situations and either of those roles. It's interesting to see when Jennings played 2 weeks ago against the Saints, his usage obviously was not quite as strong. I'm so fascinated to see is he truly this good? Because his last 5 games, 8, 117, 0, 4 for 56, 0, over 100 yards in week 1. Going back to last year, 669, 1, 8, 141, 1. I don't know if you guys realize this. This year, he's on pace for 1,600 yards. Now, obviously, that's not going to hold up, but I'm just so fascinated to see how does he fit in this offense as far as whose role is he taking? Because right now he's kind of wearing all the hats and he looks good in each of these roles, but I think he's talented. I'd be pretty excited if I had him in Dynasty because obviously there was a lot of debate going into the season, how does he fit in? Remember as a prospect, he wasn't that incredible,
Jason
analytically. Yeah, but
I was a big fan.
But late breakout didn't fit really. A lot of people thought maybe he would go mid second round. He went obviously late first. So just he wasn't the perfect prospect. But what you've seen since he got an opportunity, he has produced. So I'm fascinated to see what goes on here. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I was really impressed by his usage and some of his route running this past weekend.
Yeah, I think it will be a breakout. I mean, it really needs to be. This is a team that needs him. He's got the talent. He's a very good route runner. He has exceptional hands.
So good.
And the opportunity is there. Now, what I want to see happen is when Jennings gets back on the field, I want to see Pearsall command the targets. He needs to be demonstrative. He needs to be a little bit of diva, and he needs to just be like, I am the number one for this team. Because if he can't do it, over Jennings, then when Ayuk gets back, now he goes to second, third, fourth, behind Kittle. So it's right now. As soon as Brock gets back, I'm hoping this week we see Brock, Jennings, and Pearsall. And I want the breakout to be kind of proven this week of Pearsall is very good because he's looked good on tape. And this goes back to the last 2 games of last season. Very, very good. He's a good player.
It's just interesting. So third in the league in air yards, third in total receiving yards. His ADOT right now is at 16.3. I thought it was interesting that the 49ers with him have not turned him into some cheap little slot wide receiver, which is what you kind of thought he would be from college. I thought okay, here's what he's going to be pitch and hold. He's winning in so many different ways. And then with Mac Jones this past week, they were still letting Mac Jones, have at it. They barely won the game. But yeah, if you're getting a downfield role in an offense that we obviously really, really like, we kind of were on board with the Niners bouncing back this season. It is really great to see right now, but hopefully they'll get Kittle back, get Purdy back. Jason, who did you get to watch the film of?
So I actually watched 2 different guys in preparation, but I am also currently watching another player and have been this entire episode. So if I have seemed a little distracted, I just felt like I have to go watch CJ Stroud. I have to put my eyes on what the heck is happening. And really, I think you need to go back about, a dozen games or so. Look at last year. Look before he lost some of his weapons. Is it him? I think his the way he launched into his career as the absolute presumed superstar, the guy that is better than Caleb Williams, the guy that is, the future of the NFL, really makes everyone stop watch. We're not watching the film on him. We're just saying, oh, it was a bad outing. Oh, there's a bad offensive line, whatever. And so I just watched every snap from this last week, and I need to go back to some other games. And it really is a situation where he still looks okay. However, he has no weapons and he has no protection. And so he's not going to turn this around. He's not going to have this season where it's the second half of this season, maybe he'll have a good game or two against someone without a pass rush, but he's not turning it around right now this season. And they are not a piece away from turning it around. Nico's great, but they need 2 more targets. They need a great tight end or 2 more wide receivers. They need 3 more offensive linemen. So if you're talking about from a dynasty perspective, I don't think he's good this year. I don't think he's going to be good next year. The other 2 guys that I looked at film-wise, one was Woody Marks because he got onto the field about almost 50% of the snaps. He's gone up. It was 11%, 20-something%, now almost 50% of the snaps while they make Dameon Pierce inactive. So you got to say, okay, again, bad Texan team. And you go, okay, what are his opportunities? Bad offensive line, but he looks okay. He's shifty, and I was surprised that they were giving him as much work as they did on the ground because coming out of college, he was really a pass catching threat. That was his specialty, and that's kind of how I assumed he would be used in the NFL. So keeping the eyes there, he didn't look special. And this Texans team looks like they're not going to be a great offensive output.
But there's a window for him, at least.
Yeah, there's a window. I feel like the window is it's weirdly more in redraft than in Dynasty, even though he's a young rookie. It just feels like this team needs special skill position players. Woody Marks isn't that, so he'll be replaced. But the real main event here, the one that everyone watched in prime time, the one that we talked up all off season, that I assume you guys loved them as much as we did, but I know Andy and Mike and myself were like, why is this guy not a top running back in this class? It's Cam Skattebooyah, baby. Cam Skattebo is so good. I went and rewatched everything. First of all, I watched his receiving work.
Oh, man.
It took forever. It took forever at the running back position to just watch all of his snaps where he was involved in the receiving game. That is awesome. I mean, end of everything. How did he look? Doesn't matter. how did he perform? Doesn't matter. He had so much film where he was running routes in the receiving game at the running back position. For fantasy, that's a full stop. You're going to be good enough right there. Then he dominated at it. Then you look at the running attempts, and against a great, very difficult to run on Kansas City Chiefs team. You watch the first snap, like Tyrone Tracy was running well. He was like, okay, all right, let's go. Shoot, maybe he will command more. And then before he gets injured, Cam Skattebo comes in, gets his first carry, and it's like, oh, he plows into a Kansas City Chiefs defender, just bounces off of him, and then runs away from two other guys, breaking like two more tackles, getting a first down. Just he gets extra yardage every play. He chips guys in the pass blocking game to where they fall to the ground and hold their ribs. He catches almost everything thrown his way. There was one play where he almost caused an interception because it was thrown very much not his way, and he still got his hand on it. But this is just a quality NFL player, and I know we are always anti day 3 running back picks, round 4 later picks. Like, it's gonna, even when it's good, Damian Pierce, it will come back to bite you. And over the last many years, we have, when it was Damian Pierce and he was like a top 10 running back pick the next year, I was like pumping the brakes all offseason, say, don't do this. We didn't do that with Bucky Irving last year. We said this breakout's legit. That guy is really good. And he turns out really good. This team is invested. He's not going anywhere. Cam Skattebo is the same thing. Now, Cam Skattebo isn't on a good offense. We don't know now with Jackson Dart coming in how much will there be checking down from a more mobile Jackson Dart. So there's plenty of ways it doesn't work out for fantasy in the short term. But here's what I know. Cam Skattebo, who's like a 2,000-yard player last year in college, works in the NFL. I know that already, like definitively. He's going to be just fine. And he is already kind of a heart and soul. He's a fan favorite. Like he's entrenched. He's not going anywhere. So that's what I see from the film on Cam Skattebo.
The only way he's getting off the field is if he takes himself off the field because he destroys something in his body somehow, some way. And maybe that's not allowed to happen. Like
I don't think it's possible yet.
You see the backflip?
He wears two helmets. One is his skull, but his skull has to weigh, 80, 85 pounds. That thing is.
Did you guys see the backflip on the touchdown?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was beautiful.
Rocked the backflip right into the surfboard.
His coming out of college, remember, like his yards after contact numbers and stuff like that, like they were right there with Jeanty as far as
Jeanty and Hampton.
And exactly. And like leading the nation in some of those categories in this class. So I think he's great.
When you look at the full production profile, because his collegiate stats were so involved in the receiving game, he was, not like an average, he had 600 receiving yards his last year in college. And the only comp that whenever you like looked up like, oh, who had this much work on the ground and this much work through the air, it was like the guy that kept coming up was Christian McCaffrey, who's been pretty darn good for fantasy football.
Well, let me give you a hot stat, because through 3 weeks, Jason, the only running back who has been targeted more frequently on pass plays, so field plays they were on the field on a pass play, is CMC. Then it's Skattebo.
There you go. Now, I do think, and I mentioned this in the office like an hour ago after our morning recording, was like, we have to see whether Jackson Dart checks it down as much as an older veteran Russell Wilson, because Russ, he's looking deep, then he checks it down. Jackson Dart will not have the same speed in his processing, and he might scramble, and that might be the better play to do anyways. So I do think that like, you could argue that this is better for the Giants offense. If Dart comes in, it is good. This takes Cam Skattebo to the next level, but I think there's also an argument to be made that it hurts him in the receiving game. Yeah,
Dart had the highest scramble rate of any quarterback in this class. Now, it wasn't a great class, but highest among that group.
Let's think about this. Let's look at, is there someone that was drafted above Cam Skattebo in rookie drafts that maybe you could trade for Skattebo right now? I mean, I don't know if it's even possible to get Skattebo in a dynasty league. And it really depends on where Skattebo had a very wide-ranging ADP. Like in the leagues that I play in, Skattebo went very, very high because
he went 204 in the main Ballers Dynasty.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's disgustingly low. That is so.
I
must not have had a first round pick.
No, you definitely traded some stuff away.
Oh, dadgummit, I would have had him.
That's the range that he went, though, is kind of like early to mid second round. And the running backs ahead of him were Harvey, Caleb Johnson, and then obviously Judkins, Henderson, Hampton, and Jeanty. So, do you think?
I mean,
what are you doing? What about Harvey?
Oh, if I could turn RJ Harvey, or even my dude who I love, Caleb Johnson, if I could trade them for Cam Skattebo because of pre-draft notions and NFL draft capital, I would do it without blinking.
Could you get that done?
Would you guys trade those guys? Would you trade Harvey or Caleb Johnson for Skattebo? Would you hesitate?
I would hesitate a little on Harvey just because
as I would.
I don't want to
love hearing that.
It's only 3 weeks in, right? So we don't want to like overreact to this small sample, especially because a lot of times with rookies, like the conversation entering the year is, hey, it might take a few weeks. And we all know that and remember that as dynasty players, but still in the moment, it doesn't feel good when your guy is playing 20% of the snaps or whatever, or Caleb Johnson, who's basically inactive. I mean, he's active, but he's not touching the football. I would trade Caleb Johnson for him because I didn't view them that differently as far as like tiers in NFL draft. And let's be honest, like Caleb Johnson was taken like middle third round roughly. And I think a lot of people viewed him as like the Steelers, man. They took this guy. He's definitely going to be their future, and maybe he still will be. But it's not like they invested a second round pick or a first round pick in this guy. Like he's a third round rookie running back, and those guys are out of the league, a couple years in often. So I still think it could work with Caleb. I just feel much better about the overall profile from like a receiving standpoint and that kind of thing with Skattebo, and now you're going to see him get the opportunity. So I would trade him for Caleb Johnson, or I would trade Caleb Johnson for Skattebo rather.
I don't hate if somebody wanted to do it for Harvey. I think I'd rather just hold Harvey a little bit longer and wait on that. The thing about Skattebo is if you go through the domino effect of teams that took a running back, and if NFL teams, and you realize that there are probably some teams that just had this guy off their board because some coach said, this doesn't really fit my scheme. This isn't really like what I want to do. And so just keeping that in mind is like certain players that there are coaching, staffs and schemes just say like, I've never worked with a player like this because he's an alien. He's not normal.
He's a very unique guy. And you watch the college film, and it was no guarantee that it could work in the NFL. He looked slow. I mean, we talked about this in the NFL draft process. It's like he's not a burner. He always runs away from guys, kind of, but he always breaks tackles, but he doesn't look that strong. He always knocks guys over, but I don't know, man. It was weird, and so maybe it doesn't translate to the NFL. But we've seen right off the bat it translates. And if it translates, then he's a star.
Yeah. I'll bring up Judkins because I watched his film against the Packers. He went 18 for 94 and 1 rushing. He saw 2 targets. I won't lie. Green Bay's run defense is really good. And so like the 3 or 4 runs that looked really special were the ones that stood out because a lot of it is just, that's a good front. But the back-to-back in the fourth quarter had some huge runs, a 14-yard gain, a 38-yard gain. And then the thing that I noticed is that like Dylan Sampson just evaporated from the game where like, remember that first week he saw 8 targets? He ran 2 routes this game. He was terrible in pass protection the week before, so they didn't want to do it. So if Judkins is seeing passing down work, Jerome Ford's still going to see some too, then I think you're just getting a high floor, even on a team that's really, really bad. And like at the end of the day, my best comp for him is if he's David Montgomery in the NFL, that's a really good pick in the second round. I think he has a little bit more juice than Dave Montgomery, but Dave Montgomery's been a really, really good player, been an RB1 before, been a solid RB2, second contract player. That's kind of where I see Judkins right now. And so I want to ask the question, a couple weeks in, would you rather have Judkins or TreVeyon Henderson? Because they were back-to-back.
Judkins, easily. Before, when I've said this many times, when we finished the UDK rankings, Judkins was my number 1 running back. of all the. I always forget
Besides
about
Jeanty.
Yes, besides Jeanty, who
Every
was up at
time.
running back 7 or 8 or something. Of the rest of the rookies in this highly touted class, he was already ahead of Hampton, ahead of Henderson. So I would definitely take Judkins.
I'm not ready to give up on Henderson after 3 games. I'd still take TreVeyon.
And don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not giving up on Henderson. I think he's going to be great. But
we heard you, Jason. We heard you loud and
Judkins
clear.
even better.
I like Judkins a lot, and I said before the draft that it was almost a coin flip for me between Judkins and Henderson and who you wanted. Judkins was actually targeted on more frequently on his routes at Ohio State than Henderson. Obviously, Henderson's an explosive pass catcher, but Judkins, like, he can add 3 to 4 targets a game. The way that David Montgomery has in his career, that he can do it, may not be as explosive, but I think Judkins, what translates from college is really stupid to the NFL. It's touchdowns. And he scored a lot of touchdowns at Ole Miss, Ohio State, so he'll be just fine.
It really is crazy. Like, touchdowns are not a sticky stat. You know, they're not something that is predictable from year to year within the NFL. But when you look at rookie running backs coming in from college who had a lot of rushing touchdowns, that is like one of the most correlative stats of success. And then, you know, who had 20 plus rushing touchdowns? Oh, Judkins. Oh, Skattebo. It's like, oh, okay. Well, they seem to be working somehow. Somehow it usually works. I don't get it.
But Caleb Johnson, it's coming. It's coming, people.
I am literally right now. I've pulled up on my screen is a trade offer. The team that has Cam Skattebo also has Caleb Johnson. I'm making an offer for. I'm trying to see if I can
just kind of sneak him in there.
Yeah, just trying to scoop.
I do think that
these guys early.
This is a great time if you still if you were a believer in Caleb Johnson before the NFL draft and all those things. Yes, it's not been a good start. I would put a trade offer out there and see what you can get him for at this point.
There are so many running backs that we could list that got off to starts. They just, right now, because we're in it and because they're shiny and new, we have a hard time remembering. But it's pretty common that rookie running backs take a little bit to get going. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, on today's episode, we are going to talk a little trending or ending. And we are 3 weeks into the season. And I just want to say, like, gathering data, whenever I love giving stats. We do this on all of our shows. It's really hard. Like, we're going to bring up Justin Jefferson. His finishes so far: wide receiver 20, wide receiver 38, wide receiver 33. It's like, oh, that's not very exciting. It's like, that's just not very much. And I know even all the data that we have in all of our tools, we wait till about week 5 or 6 to really start getting trends of who's good, who's bad. You know, there's certain players like Michael Penix, we might say like, okay, well, 2 weeks in a row, they haven't really needed him. Maybe it's like that, but let's just wait a little bit on some of these players and figure out in Dynasty how to not overreact.
Trending or ending.
All right, the first group that I want to bring up to you guys is a group of wide receiver dynasty darlings that are starting out very, very slowly. All right, so I'm going to list the names, and then the most interesting ones we can kind of go around there. But if you have Justin Jefferson, if you have Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, or Ladd McConkey on your roster starting the season, you felt good. It's been slow. And so I don't want people to overreact, but I also don't want to underreact and say, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So, Betz, who do you want to start talking about first from this first group?
I mean, how do we not talk about Brian Thomas Jr.? We talked about him last week a little bit. It's been bad. It's been really bad. Kyle and I did our first episode of the DFS podcast. It comes out on Tuesdays, and I mentioned if you read any article this week that has some sort of expected fantasy points model, narrative, like, he's at the top of the list. The volume has been there. The targets are there. He just is not converting, and he just kind of seems like he has the yips right now. I am trying really hard to go out and get Brian Thomas, in redraft, but especially in Dynasty. Like, this is a player who was incredible down the stretch last year. I believe he is way better than what he has shown the last couple of weeks. We have a player or two like this every single year where you overreact and you freak out and the sky is falling and all those things, and then they figure it out and they turn it around, and and they capitalized. So I still don't think Trevor Lawrence is really going to elevate him to be like a top 10 fantasy receiver week in and week out. But I believe in Liam Cohen. I've been very disappointed in the Travis Hunter usage.
You believe in Shane Waldron?
I also don't believe in Shane Waldron. So maybe this is a trade for if you're a rebuild and you want to next year when Waldron's gone. Yeah. But I still believe in Liam Cohen, and the Travis Hunter usage. It's been kind of confusing. Like maybe we should have seen this coming. Right? It's like this is a different level. The NFL playing corner and wide receiver. It's very hard to do. Also at Colorado, it was like, hey, just go run this route. We're going to get you the football. You're more athletic than these guys. In the NFL, it's more language and play calling, and it's so different. But I believe there is a world that exists where Travis Hunter can still be great down the road. It seems like it's going to take a long time to get there with the usage on both sides of the ball. We've already seen Brian Thomas Jr. be awesome. I still think that player is in there. So if there is a window to go out and get him, I am desperately trying to do that.
Yeah, I made a couple redraft trade offers for him. Dynasty even better, obviously, because he's young. So far, what I've found is that most managers who have him, they understand what he can be, and they're not willing to just give up because he's so young. I feel like it's more common that people give up on and get more scared of the older guys than the younger guys. But Brian Thomas Jr., I mean, he's on pace right now for 141 targets. I did go back and watch all of his targets from this last game, and man, is it his fault. I mean, goodness gracious. Trevor Lawrence is giving him catchable balls, and it's just got to be in his head right now. Like, that's another stat that's not sticky. Drops is not sticky. Drops is an overblown stat because usually always you cannot get a drop unless you first earned a target. So like usually good players have the most drops because they get the most targets, and Brian Thomas Jr. is a good player. However, when you catch the yips, right now it feels like the yips. Like it is in his head. Every single pass that's headed his way, I got to think he's holding his breath. But he's going to have he's done this since he was a baby. He is a man. He knows how to catch the ball and play wide receiver. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to get over it. This is not going to be like the end of his career. So I too am in on Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, and if you just stack up the weeks and just say, if these 3 weeks happened in the middle of last year, it's a timing thing, and it's a recency. We forget how great he was down the stretch, but with Mac Jones. So that, like, I've been pretty anti-Trevor Lawrence as a fantasy quarterback over and over and over again. And so I just worry, like, can he elevate this offense to be better than middle of the pack? That's for Trevor Lawrence. Is there a day coming where this is a top 10 scoring offense? My answer would be no.
No, not with T-Law.
Probably not.
That's upsetting because this is a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. It could still be fine. Like, we're not worried about neighbors, and we're not saying the Giants are going to be top 10 offense. But Thomas, in a similar situation with a better quarterback, a better offensive mind, we have issues even looking at this offense taking a step forward. So, if he ends the season with 6 touchdowns, you're disappointed, right?
Brian Thomas?
Yep.
I would say probably. For where you drafted him, yeah. But if he ends the season with, 95 receptions and 6 touchdowns, okay.
At a 28% catch rate, he needs 1,000 targets or whatever.
Yeah, that would. I can't believe he's at a 28% catch rate. Second lowest in the league. Just disgusting.
It's the lowest
Only
ever.
Only better than Xavier Legette.
It's the lowest ever. That's pretty bad. Then a wide receiver has seen 25 targets 3 weeks. Lowest ever. So
can only go up from here.
Great.
Eventually you stop earning the targets.
Maybe. I don't know. They're just going to keep going over and over again. This is going to work.
I mean, Hunter's a part-time player.
Parker Washington's earning more targets than Hunter.
It's really funny when you look at his projected 17-game stat line, because I told you earlier he's on pace for 141 targets. He's also on pace for 39 total receptions. When you hear him extrapolate it out over 17, that would just be the wildest. Like, No one would ever be able to repeat that. Which obviously you can't even do that. Which
It would
means
be
it's not going to stay
impressive to
that
do
way.
that.
That would be the fact that they would keep targeting him if he was catching 28% halfway through the season. No, it's going
Feels
to
like
go
a
away.
video game character. You're just like, I know that this guy can't catch, but I'm going to keep trying.
Who's better at catching, Brian Thomas Jr. or Quinton Johnston?
Right now, it's huge.
Yeah, dirty question, huh?
Man, huge is speaking. We got to talk. We'll talk Lad here in a sec, I'm sure. Speaking of huge, he had another 10 target game last week, didn't he? Quinton Johnson.
He's
I don't
earning
think
targets.
so.
He leads the team in first read targets right now. So let's transition to Lad
He
because
did 10.
Like Lad, I rewatched the routes against Denver. It's still great, guys. I think we're not questioning his skills as a route runner suddenly evaporating. I think the big plays will come on like the crossers. You remember last year towards the end of the season, it's like there's Lad across the field, and then he'd have these huge yak plays and run away from people. Like he did that against the Patriots towards the end of the season, had a monster game. He did it in the playoffs too. Remember against the Texans, had a huge game. Watching the film too, the Chargers have used 4 wide receivers a lot. Like against the Broncos, they had a bunch of sets where it's Hampton in the backfield, and then Trey Harris is out there with the rest of the receivers too. And it's cool to see. It's cool to see Herbert, be able to do that. But looking at Lad right now, he's right there. They're kind of meshed together, Keenan, Huge, and him in terms of targets and first read targets. But Lad has yet to see an end zone target, which is concerning, right? If he's not getting these little Hunter Renfrow, routes at the goal line where he's able to just outmaneuver someone, he's not going to get a jump ball, right? Like compared to these other dudes.
No, he's not going to get a jump ball, but he's going to get open in the end zone and get a laser beam. I mean, that'll happen. I'm really not worried about Lad as what he is. Now, if what you thought he is coming into this season is an alpha wide receiver 1, leveling up going into year 2, where he takes that step forward from whatever what was his yardage rookie year? He had a shockingly high yardage. Yeah, look that up. But obviously he was a wide receiver 1 in his rookie season. Some people either if you drafted him and experienced that in Dynasty, you thought he is a future superstar alpha 1, and some people in redraft drafted him to be that. If that's what you think, you need to reevaluate the situation. He is an awesome world-class wide receiver, but he's not an alpha. I demand the ball. My body size is one where I'm going to always be the king of the targets and, be 100 reception guy year in and year out. He can do that if needed. But with this team, and especially with them bringing in 2 new rookie wide receivers who are both good, along with Hall of Famer Keenan Allen, it's going to go different directions. And it's not going to stay the same the whole year. Like right now, Huge is dominating. Keenan Allen is pretty much dominating. If that keeps happening week after week after week, what do you think defenses are going to do? They're going to start paying more attention to those guys. And what do you think Justin Herbert's going to do? He's going to go to the guy that's got less attention paid to him. So it's going to bounce around. All I know is Herbert is really good, Lad is really good, and they're allowing him to throw the ball. So I'm fine saying that Lad is a weekly must start. Like he's in my lineup if I've got Lad, but he is not an alpha wide receiver 1 for fantasy.
Yeah, I looked at his yardage from last year, Jason. 1,100 yards, just over 1,100, and 7 touchdowns. I'm with you. Just this guy's talented. The efficiency numbers, too, that we care a lot about were awesome last year. So, if again, like Brian Thomas Jr., if there's a window to go get him in Dynasty, do it.
Yep. I'll give you some names, and you guys put these in order. Would you rather have Lad McConkey?
This is for Dynasty, right?
Dynasty. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, screw you.
Or Ricky Pearsall.
Lad, and Pearsall. No, you got to put them in order.
Lad, Pearsall, Marv.
Oh,
that's
man.
sad. But I think I lean the same way.
Holy moly.
That might look stupid in, 8 weeks or something, but that's where I'm at.
Wow. What an answer.
Where are you?
What? I choose not to participate in this. You know, this is awful. I just had a tweet hit my largest tweet of all time, 2.5 million views.
By editing with cat noises.
Yes, by editing with cat noises. I took a very sincere, emotional interview with Marvin Harrison Jr., and I cut it up and carefully spliced in cat meows over Marv's answer, and because he ain't got that dog in him. But I still think I want Marv more than the other two. Marv is so disappointing, and I feel stupid. I feel stupid. I feel like, what are you talking about? Everything you say, we watch the film. We're Cardinals fans. We pay very close attention to it. He does not have that dog in him. I mean, he never will. He will not develop into someone that's like.
He never will?
Oh, he will never be. You don't develop the dog when you
be a dog.
Yes.
We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats.
We don't need no meows. I don't think he'll ever have the dog. You don't have to have the dog to be able to produce for fantasy football. You know, there's talented guys who aren't out there barking and going crazy. But he's still like, he's built, drafted, given the opportunity to be an alpha one. And so I feel like the way I play is I think he still has, if any one of these guys is going to become an alpha top 6 wide receiver in fantasy football, I still think it's Marv. And I feel dumb saying that out loud.
If Marv switched spots with Ladd McConkey, switch teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that change your outlook?
Interesting. Wow, that's
Jason's just in a blender
we're
right now.
Very pro Chargers. The three of us love the Chargers.
We're pro Chargers, but when you did that, my first instinct was if Ladd was a Cardinal, and because the Cardinals need a wide receiver so doggone bad, that Ladd would be an alpha wide receiver 1. He would dominate. So I guess I do want the Cardinals situation more, just because they're so desperate for that alpha wide receiver. The Chargers are not and won't be. They are chock full now.
But you need an offense that demands a player to either be an alpha. Like Neighbors, the offense needs him to be everything.
Yeah.
So either that or a scheme where they're throwing the ball and they're aggressive. This team is not aggressive. The Cardinals.
No, the Cardinals are not. But the question is, if they were more successful, would they be more aggressive? You know, the Lions, we saw it on, against the Ravens. They're very aggressive. They go for it on 4th downs all the time. They go for it in those very dangerous situations. Now, if they weren't a very successful offense, would they be as aggressive? Or would they punt more and play defense? But they're like, we're good. We can pick this up. So I think there's a little bit of chicken or egg here when you go, we're not playing aggressive in our passing game.
But the Cardinals will never be successful, ever.
Okay, that's actually a fact. That is an objective truth, not up for debate. Spoken as a Cardinals fan.
Before we move on from the Chargers, Jason, I know you have some skin in the game here. I told Kyle this after week 3. Justin Herbert, 3rd in odds to win MVP. So what do we say?
I do have skin in that game.
2 weeks ago, we were all on him at what, like 12 to 1 or 15 to 1. He is now plus 500.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got him plus 1,200 after week 1. I will say this: I don't think it will happen, only because for it to happen, the Chargers just need to keep winning every game. Like they need to lose 2 games on the season, and then maybe he can win, because his statistics are not going to be
right
where like Lamar's are. Lamar's statistics make it so hard, and the fact that he didn't win it last year when his with the stats he had, he's going to do those stats again this year, and they're going to win a lot of games. Although they could start 1-3.
Yes.
I mean, if they end up a 5-loss team on the season, which seems possible, then Lamar's out of the race. So, all right, I'm feeling good
We're
again.
back, baby.
He's betting it again. That's what he's doing.
I love Herbert.
I do too. I think the Bills are favored in every single game here on out. So things are looking pretty good for a repeat, but things change in the NFL a ton. Yeah, with those wide receivers, just you don't have to do anything in Dynasty. Like, please don't press eject for McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr. I got a bunch of offers for Drake London this week too. Just hold for a second. And maybe when we get midseason, we'll do a trade special. I know here, but you can hold. You'll be fine for a second.
Yeah, hold on to these guys unless something comes that really rocks your socks. But people don't offer sock rocking deals for players struggling.
Very few sock rockers these days. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I want to bring up some rookie running backs that are not getting off to a great fantasy start. So let's bring up Ashton Jeanty. Running the ball behind the offensive line hasn't been great, but you can't really blame him. He's been hit or at or behind the line of scrimmage on 57% of his attempts. That's been tough. I want to bring up him as a pass catcher because I've been looking at this for every single running back in the NFL. He's been on the field for 69 pass plays through 3 weeks. I know. 51 routes, 18 pass blocks. He's been targeted on just 6 pass plays. Okay, so it's just like when he's out there, they haven't been utilizing him knowing that this was his calling card. It's one of the lowest in the league. Like, here's the other guys that he's around that have been on the field a ton and have been targeted on fewer than 10% of their pass plays. Jordan Mason, who's always kind of been...
He doesn't catch the ball.
Kyren.
Doesn't catch the ball much.
Tony Pollard. Poor guy.
Sometimes does.
He's just got to be out there all the time because they have nobody else. Derrick Henry and Zach Charbonnet. So it's not a great list for a guy who we know is awesome at catching the ball. They started farting around. Did you guys notice they started farting around with Dylan Laube and Zamir White?
Oh, yeah. So one of the craziest things with the utilization, it really happened in week 2 that was insane, was like Dylan Laube was the 2-minute drill guy. It's like, what? The 2-minute drill? Like, it's important for fantasy, but that is exceptionally important part of an NFL team. And you're saying that the top 5 NFL draft pick, Ashton Jeanty, should be taken off the field and Dylan Laube should be put in for your 2-minute drill stuff? It's nonsense. Also, I can't fathom a world where that sticks. He is a rookie. You know, he didn't come out and over the first 3 weeks get the Christian McCaffrey utilization and the utilization in the receiving game. But film-wise, okay, as bad as the Raiders' offensive line looks, Jeanty looks that good as a runner and in the receiving game in the few opportunities he's had. He hasn't come in, because my biggest fear with Jeanty was where he went to school has produced some really electric-looking players who, when they got to the NFL, didn't quite hit as hard as you hoped because they weren't playing the level of competition. But really, on a per-touch basis, on a yards created, on a broken tackle, on all those things, when he's given the opportunity, he looks outstanding still. He does run away from guys. He does plow over guys. He does stiff-arm guys. It's just tough sledding right now with that offensive line.
Yeah. Laube, I checked this out. In the last 2 games, he's been asked to pass protect 3 times, and he's given up 3 pressures. So, in other words, they're going to look at that and be like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Betz, any thoughts about Jeanty? I mean, I can't really give anything actionable to people. If you took him at the 101, you should not look 3 weeks in and be like, what the heck? Why is this not great? He's going to get the utilization. They're going to move forward. I think their offense, like Geno's had some exciting moments. He had 2 great weeks, 1 really, really bad week. And maybe that's how it's going to be with this offense, but I think there's still room there. So any Jeanty thoughts, Betz?
I mean, the hit rate on these running backs that go in round 1 of the real NFL draft, especially the ones that go as high as he did, is just phenomenal. So, yeah, it's been a struggle. The offensive line doesn't look good. You know, they're clearly working through it. It's week 3. Like, let's take a step back, right? I still think Jeanty's going to be great. And like Jason said, if you watch him play with the limited space he's getting, he still looks what he looked like in college. In my opinion, tough to bring down, breaking tackles, all those things. But Yeah, I mean, the Raiders right now, they're 31st in success rate running the football. Only the Texans are worse, which is not surprising. So it's going to be hard to produce ceiling outcomes in fantasy when that is the case. But he's super talented. The draft capital is there. I don't think don't panic on Jeanty.
Give him a screen. He has 1 first read target. So in other words, they haven't designed any pass plays with him involved. And usually in order to have a screen, you got to have the run game. But it's like, I don't know what Chip Kelly's doing there.
That's ridiculous. That's like malfeasance.
I don't know that word very well.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, Kyle.
As a
teacher?
former English teacher, I kind of short-circuited when you said it.
Yeah, it's a wrongdoing, but it's usually like it's a public thing. It's like I don't know if it's exactly legal, but it's always like malfeasance. It's like malpractice kind of.
Okay, I'm there. I'm there with you now. TreVeyon Henderson should be trending in a good direction because the other 2 running backs.
Malfeasance is an intentional act of committing a wrong, illegal, or dishonest action that one had no right to do, often by a public official or someone in a position of trust, which causes harm. That is exactly what Chip Kelly is doing here. That is malfeasance, intentionally not designing plays for Jeanty. Arrest
Chip. We trusted you.
Kelly.
Well, the last time we trusted Chip Kelly in fantasy, things went south real quick.
This isn't the same Chip. Chip is a new man, and yeah, he could do better. TreVeyon Henderson.
Bring back the old Chip.
I feel good about Henderson moving forward because the other guys said that, hey, I don't want to play as much. A couple of fumbles from Ramondre, 1 from Antonio Gibson. They've asked Ramondre to pass black 29 times, guys. It's like the most in the league. And so I think Henderson's going to keep growing into a role. Is it going to be one that you can count on every single week? I don't understand their offense yet either, of how it's working and how they distribute the targets. But I think Henderson's going to be one of those players you're going to see 4+ targets a week and you're going to be fine. So hold steady with Henderson. I want to bring up Harvey, though. When are we going to see RJ Harvey be more than like Tyler Baday's backup in the passing game? Because that's what it feels like right now.
That changed a little bit this past week, though, didn't it? Baday's role came down a little bit relative to week 2, if I'm not mistaken. I can double check that. But this is what Sean Payton does. Like, he has committees, and he has wide receiver committees and tight end committees. Like, it is what he does. So if there's one running back that we look at from kind of the top, 5-6 names in the class, and we look at their usage for the first month and say, like, which of these is most likely to be the case moving forward for the entire season, I think Harvey is the most likely. Now, of course, J.K. Dobbins has a lengthy injury history. Like, if he misses time, then yeah, Harvey's going to have a big role increase. But assuming Dobbins is healthy, you're going to see all 3 of these running backs on the field.
Another weird thing where he's run 30 routes this year, and one of them was like a screen. So and they're not asking him to pass block. He's done it once this entire year. I just don't understand, if you're using the draft capital, you're not even utilizing these players in the skill sets that we think, here's what we were best at. Like his skill set was open space, get him the ball, and he's going to be good after he catches it. And they haven't really used him that way. So Jason, any thoughts on Harvey?
They haven't needed him. So when they drafted him, they had a pretty big need for RJ Harvey. After they drafted him, they signed J.K. Dobbins, and Dobbins has been better. Dobbins has looked great. Dobbins has gotten them wins, touchdowns. He's just been a very steady, solid veteran presence, running well, doing everything that you need to help this offense run. And so RJ Harvey gets his opportunities and is a more explosive athlete than J.K. one-leg Dobbins at this point in their career. But I think that's the issue for me for Harvey, is that Harvey should get more involved as the season goes on. We've seen J.K. Dobbins got off to a strong start last year, then kind of faded. But what we expected and hoped for when they drafted Harvey with the draft capital they did is actually what we're seeing J.K. Dobbins do. And I don't know why until J.K. Dobbins loses a step, starts slowing down, maybe whatever happened to him last year happens again this year. Okay, Well, now there's a reason to go to Harvey. But why would you go to Harvey when your veteran running back one, who is definitely, unequivocally, their running back one for this team, is succeeding on most touches? It's not like you have to get the backup guy involved. Let the young guy stay fresh and learn and grow. So I am a little bit more concerned for Harvey, especially as a guy who, from a dynasty perspective, was 24 years old when he was drafted. You know what I mean? It's like it looked like when he was drafted at the location he was going to in the system and the offense, it was like, oh, all right, he's going to hit the ground running. But he hasn't, and he might not. So, next year if he gets more involved, if it doesn't happen this year, it's a little more concerning. So for me, he has moved down mentally for me. We can't overreact to 3 weeks. Plenty of running backs. We brought this up on the main show, right? Like after 2 weeks, Devon Achane in his rookie year had 5 snaps. It's like, and he had a great rookie season. So this is, I'm not trading him away. Most of these guys are hold on to for now, but he concerns me a little bit more because because of Dobbins.
You liked him more for redraft than dynasty. We kind of talked about that dance of like, okay, this is an older player. He has a chance right now, but now with Dobbins, it looks a little bit muddier.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to give you some quick hitters, guys, because we have a couple of categories here. Here's some tight ends who got extensions this offseason who all have crushed so far, or at least this past week, they definitely crushed. Juwan Johnson, Jake Ferguson, who through 3 weeks has the most receptions of any tight end to start a season since 2016. So it's just hilarious. And then Hunter Henry, who also got paid this offseason, just came off a 2-touchdown game. If you have these players, I'm assuming you're just going to write it out. But what if you're in a rebuild and you have Juwan Johnson, Jake Ferguson, or Hunter Henry? Betz, would this be a great opportunity to say like, hey, I don't know if I need these players long term, and I could sell them right now as a startable tight end, which is really hard to find, by the way, in Dynasty. Would you be selling these guys?
I don't know what you're getting for Hunter Henry in a trade, if I'm being honest.
Right.
But if you could package him with something, I think that's totally fine. I'm more willing to kind of hold Juwan Johnson. I obviously think that there's a chance that what we're seeing right now comes down as the year goes on potentially. But he's a guy that, we see this a lot at tight end, like 28, 29-year-olds, like over the course of time. Sometimes it takes a long time for these guys to really get going. And, he flashed many times in the past with a great touchdown season here or there, those kind of things. So I'm less willing to like actively get rid of him, so to speak. I'm more willing to do that with guys like Jake Ferguson and Hunter Henry. But again, these guys are all like, I don't know, late seconds in a trade. Like
Juwan Johnson is, to me, a player that every contending team without a tight end should go try to acquire.
Perfect trade target.
I agree with you. He's a perfect trade target. If you're a championship contender, and you thought you were set with David Njoku, you thought you were great. You're like, he's good enough. The rest of my roster's loaded. And now with Harold Fannin coming in, splitting the tight end work, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting four catches a game. This is not good enough. Then I would go offer a second for Juwan Johnson because that one looks like it's going to stick. He is very, very, very necessary to the offense. He's getting so many targets. It's not going to stay that high. You don't have a Juwan Johnson 158 target season coming, but at the same time, he's good enough to plug a hole for a championship team. And if you're not on a championship team, if you are more of the rebuilder, he's not the future. A 29-year-old tight end, even though he's got a new contract, he'll play a couple of years. I think he's worth a second round pick. But if I'm a contender, I would want him on my roster.
Yeah, I think the second is probably going to get it done. Or if you want to flip somebody else, like, would you rather have Isaiah Likely? So you're in win-now mode. Isaiah Likely or Juwan Johnson?
I would personally stick with Isaiah Likely. I think Mark Andrews won't be on the team next year. And this year, we haven't seen Likely yet. We've seen Juwan Johnson, but I think Likely's going to have a
he'll
very
re-sign
good
with
season.
them?
Yeah, I think he's the tight end of the future for the Ravens.
There were some rumblings of the contract extension coming like days before he got injured, and I think that kind of got put on hold. I would not be surprised to see them get that done sometime soon. I agree with Jason on that. That's tough though, because obviously I think Johnson. I keep saying the same thing Kyle says.
Johnson.
I think Johnson is going to outscore him this year, obviously, but likely just seems like the better dynasty asset.
All right, a couple of running backs who got extensions this offseason are basically taking every single touchdown regression talk and punching in the face. James Cook, Kyren Williams. Who would you rather have in Dynasty? And by the way, I had to look this up in a couple places to make sure. Kyren is a year younger than James Cook. So they're basically at the same stage of their career. Who would you rather have in Dynasty?
James Cook. And the reason why is because while the age is 1 year apart, and you know I'm a Kyren guy.
That's what I was waiting to hear.
You're shocked that I went James Cook. But this is age-related. And the age gap between James Cook and Kyren is 1 year. The age gap between Matthew Stafford, who is 37.6 years old, and Josh Allen is significant. Josh Allen is 29 years old. So you're talking about a lot of years where I expect the Buffalo Bills. Basically, both these guys got a new contract. They got a contract extension this offseason. They're in the same stages of their careers. I love both players. I like Kyren every bit as much as James Cook. But what I didn't see happening, which has happened so far for the Bills, is with this new contract, they have made him more of a bell cow. He's not in a three-way timeshare like he was last year. They are giving him the rock. James Cook is outstanding, and the Bills are going to be a great like 3 years from now, the Bills are a great offense. 3 years from now, is McVay with the Rams? Stafford sure isn't. You know, it's like how are they good? So in a dynasty, I think both are good this year. Both are good next year, unless Stafford leaves next year. And then 3 years from now, it's hard to see what the Rams are.
I agree. Give me James Cook.
Kyren's tough because, like, we have him in the Main Ballers Dynasty League. We're a contender. And yet, like, one of these days, I'm like, we want to get out and cash something.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I get a dependable player who's seen 21 opportunities per game, and McVay's a sicko. So our thing is just like, hey, we're just going to go try to acquire quorum. Like, that's all we're just trying to do.
Just get the next man up.
Yeah. But I think I would take Cook, definitely. If somebody offered me that for Kyren, that's what I would do. That's going to do it for this episode. If you want to check out everything we have, go to footclan.com, join the Foot, and get to be a part of our ultimate dashboard. We'll talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.